What are 5 habits that can be done every day to build character and grit for SFAS besides working out? Awesome. I'll start with my top 5 here. Of course, there are a million different ways, a million and one different ways to build character. Actually, I made a recent YouTube video kind of on this, and I'll post it in the description of these. But I would say some of the top ones: plan ahead and also stick to your commitments. So it's kind of hard to go through life and be successful regardless of what you're actually trying to do, whether it's professional, your fitness, your nutrition, whatever it is, without planning anything. I personally think that at least this is what I do every week. Once a week, I sit down for about an hour. I brain dump all the things that are in my head. I check my notes from the week of things that, I'd otherwise forget that I know I need to do. And I actually plan and put them in my calendar when I'm supposed to do them and how long I think they're going to be able to, or going to end up taking. And also, although I'm not perfect, I do my very best to stick to those plans. And there are some that are going to be super easy to stick to, things that don't take a lot of effort, things that don't have big startup costs. But there are also going to be things that you maybe get pulled in a different direction. Like, hey, I got this meal prep in the fridge, but my coworkers are going out to eat lunch at a Chinese buffet. Should I eat my meal prep since I'm prepping for selection? I got an important workout later, or should I go smash a Chinese buffet? Of course, that's not always going to be the wrong answer. But in most cases, if you have a commitment to do something, especially if it's something that's a little bit challenging, it might work that discipline muscle a little bit, and it's also going to be beneficial for your overall success, stick to it. A lot of people suck at sticking to things, especially plans they made in private that no one else knows about. Become a master at sticking to the things you decide to do and doing them regardless of whether you feel like it or not. Number 2, read books, actual physical books. Dr. Walton's got a couple that you can check out if you haven't yet, but there's a million books out there. And I see this on Reddit all the time. Guys will leave comments, they'll ask questions, whatever. And I'm not like a grammar Nazi, and my grammar's not perfect all the time. And I don't think I'm like a master writer, but you can tell by reading my comments, my questions, etc., that I actually sit down and read things. Reading books is almost like a cheat code. It's like one of the most productive ways you can spend your time. A lot of people think it's not, but even reading nonfiction or fiction books, that is still a great use of your time because you learn how to kind of picture things in your head, form ideas, but also you learn how to use grammar and write properly. There are a lot of guys I can think of that I worked with that would need somebody to go read their emails before they sent them out to make us not look bad because their grammar was just all over the place and they had no idea what they were doing. Reading physical books, you can listen to books, of course, too. That's fine, but also not instead of reading, along with reading. That will actually help you in many, many different ways. Of course, if it's a self-development nonfiction book, you can learn how to be better and improve yourself as an individual. But if nothing else, it's going to teach you how to write. It's going to teach you how to not look like an idiot when you send out emails or write things on various different places. Next one is never press snooze. This kind of goes back to number 1, but the first thing you do every day is wake up. And if you start every single morning with either pressing snooze or you have to set 7 alarms because you don't get up to your first one, you're starting every single day of your life with a lie. And I can't think of a worse way to start one day, let alone almost every day. And I know there are people out there who press snooze or set multiple alarms. Hold yourself accountable and wake the fuck up when your alarm goes off. And this is not me recommending you should cut yourself short on sleep. This kind of goes into the day before. When you set your alarm for the next day, if you use an alarm, most people do because they have to get up for certain things, plan accordingly, plan ahead, go to bed at a reasonable hour so that when you wake up the next day, you're not inclined to press snooze. But even if you are inclined, some nights you may not sleep well, some nights you might get home late, whatever it is, when that alarm goes off, that is your first commitment to the day to hold yourself to. So freaking get up. Have conversations with strangers. This is another one. This is not necessarily a tip for every single person. Some people are naturals at this. They're charismatic. They speak well to others. I personally have had to do a lot of work on this in the past because I used to just not be very conversational. And I didn't really know the basics of being a charismatic individual, which guess what? To be charismatic, you don't have to be super funny. You don't have to be super witty. You just have to have the basics down, like listening to people, making the person you're talking to feel important. Develop a solid handshake, not a vice grip handshake, but definitely not a wet noodle, somewhere in between. Look people in the eye, ask them questions, listen very well to the answer, not just wait your turn to speak, but actually listen to the answer, because you can continue carrying the conversation that way. These are things that, like, to some people may sound really obvious, but to a lot of people, especially in today's digital age, we don't really interact with people. And you kind of have to, depending on what your life situation is, you have to go out and actually do these types of things and practice them, because you get more confident, you get more skilled at it. So that one's huge. That one's been huge for me. Like, I literally used to have to go to the grocery store and intentionally start conversations with strangers. Not just like, hey, how's it going? Weather's crazy, huh? Like, actual conversations. Some people, they're not going to really want to talk to you, but honestly, that's a good thing. You're going to get used to, also as kind of an added bonus, you're going to get used to people shutting you down and denying you or whatever it is. The more you do it, the more of a, whatever, not a big deal. Move on to the next. It's going to become. So that's a huge one. And the last one, kind of along those lines, is actually rate yourself. At the end of the day, have some sort of rating system. What I like to do, and there's many different ways you can do this, many different approaches, but I have 2 to 3 things that I did today. I write them down, and I start with this too, because my mind, and probably a lot of people listening to this, their minds go to all the negatives, the things they fucked up. But actually giving yourself credit is super huge. So I'll write down 2 or 3 things that I did really well today, so that I can actually give myself some credit, build some confidence going into the next day, and continue to kind of ride that momentum and continue doing those things, sustain in the future. And then also write a couple things down that you sucked at. And beyond that, how you plan on getting better at them. You don't have to write this whole big essay or anything like that, but just like, hey, I sucked at these 3 things today. I could do them better. Here's how I'm going to do that better. And here's when I'm going to do that. Like, actually plan, like, tomorrow I'm going to go try this again, and I'm going to do it differently this way. This will give you, whether this is like your workout, whether it is an interaction with someone, whether it is, you had something important to do and you decided to scroll for 2 hours instead to procrastinate. This will actually give you accountability of sticking to things and doing things at the level that you expect to do them. And it'll be like actual hard evidence that you can look at, and you can kind of rate yourself over time. Like, how did I get better at those things? How have I kind of stayed the same? How have I gotten worse? And what do I still need to work on? So those would be probably my top 5. I'm definitely interested to see what you think.
Yeah, that's a great list. And I'll tell you, when I read the question, I heard the question that said, besides working out, what habits can I have to build grit and character besides working out? And my number one answer is work out. So I'm going to go against the grain here. You learn to do hard things by doing hard things. So working out is a critical component of that, especially when you don't want to work out. Like to your point about the alarm, man, that's a great point. If the first thing you do every day is hit snooze, like, you're training yourself to be a quitter. So you must work out every day. You don't have to kill yourself every day. You don't have to be a max effort WOD every day, but like, you must work out every single day. Even when you're sick, get up, get a hot shower and stretch in the shower. That'll take you 30 seconds. You've worked out. Okay. Let's temper our enthusiasm a little bit, but work out every day. We learn to do hard things by doing hard things, even when you don't want to. The reason I cold plunge, so I don't know if you're a big cold plunge and sauna guy. I've been really getting into it last year. Sauna is great. Cold plunge is awesome, but the benefits aren't as well documented or efficacious as you'd want them to be. But I still cold plunge because I don't want to cold plunge. I do it because it sucks, right? So that's really the only reason to do it. If I cold plunge in the morning, how are you going to beat me that day? I've already beat myself. First thing I did when I got up is I got in 40-degree water. What the hell are you going to do to me today that's worse than that? Like, I already won. So do hard things by doing hard things. Working out is one of those. Even when you don't want to, you got to get the workout in. You are probably going to be more successful at that if you, right to your point, write down what you're going to do. So my second one is read and write every day. Read and write. And your point about physical books is well made. The literature is overwhelming that analog is superior to digital for recollection. So get a physical book. I'm going to scan my computer around now. I'm in my library. This is my library. Look at all my books. Like this, that's one half of the library here. There's all the books. Like that's what smart guys do. Dummies have man caves where they just watch sports. I watch sports. I have a man cave. Real men also have libraries where they do prominent thinking. They become formidable. They wrestle with ideas. And that's why I encourage guys to write. Writing forces you to organize your thinking. So if all you ever do is read, but don't ever make sense of that, you're really kind of doing yourself a disservice. So write it down. So, and this goes back to point number one about doing hard things, is that say what you're going to do, write down what you're going to do, and then point two is be man enough to do what you said you were going to do. So this goes sort of to the point about meal prepping. If all you ever do is prep the meals, but then keep going to the Chinese buffet and never actually eat the meals, then what good is it? If all you ever do is get the ideas in your head, never write down what you're going to do with those ideas, then what good is it? So, and that's where you get guys that can't write emails, that need to be, grammar checked by somebody. So you don't ever want to be that guy. You want to be formidable. You want to be smart. You want to be capable. So read and write every single day. I read literally every day. I write every single day. I journal every day. That's the whole purpose of Shut Up and Ruck. Shut Up and Ruck is a performance journal. It's designed for you to write down every single day what you're going to do, what you did, how much you ate, what you read, what you thought about, what your challenges are, how you're going to improve, how you're going to get better. Man, that is incredibly powerful. If you can master that early on in your career, you'll make great progress. So that's the whole reason why I made that an analog process. Number three is I'd say treat yourself like you are your own client. So if you are a performance coach, a strength and conditioning coach, a life hack guru, whatever, you have access to all the information. You know exactly what a proper diet looks like. You know exactly what good recovery looks like. You know what good routines are. Treat yourself like a client and don't allow yourself to make excuses for not doing those things. Don't allow yourself to eat like shit. Don't allow yourself to stay up late scrolling. Don't allow yourself to hit the snooze button. Treat yourself like you were your own performance client. And when that alarm goes off, get the fuck up out of bed. I'll actually one up you. I don't use an alarm. I have conditioned myself that I get between 7 and 8 hours of sleep every night. So I go to bed 8 hours before I have to get up in the morning, before I must be awake. So I'm going to wake up to an hour earlier than that because I get 7 to 8 hours every night, no matter what. So because I have made a pact with myself that I'm only going to sleep for this amount, and I'm going to get up. And when I get up, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to make my bulletproof coffee. I'm going to journal. That's what I'm going to do. And only once I'm done those things, then I can scroll social media or go for a walk or whatever. Because I write down in my journal every day, here's today's workout. It was cold as shit yesterday morning. It was freezing cold. But I put in my journal, I'm doing a 5-mile ruck today. So when I got up, I had to go do a 5-mile ruck. I didn't want to. It was cold, brother. I did it because I had made a pact with myself. I made a contract. This is what I said I was going to do. I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. I'm going to be reliable. So do that. Fourth thing is go outside every day. It is so easy to have shit delivered to you, Grubhubbed, consume the media. You've got at your fingertips in your phone. You have the all of the world at your fingertips. It could be very easy to not go outside. I want to encourage you guys to go outside. Number one, you should be getting 30 minutes of low-level direct-face sunlight every day. That's the protocol. You got to go outside to do that. But just go outside, touch grass, breathe some air, go interact with people, go meet other human beings and engage in meaningful conversation with them. To your point about go to the grocery store, and like it's a little bit weird to go to the grocery store and have a conversation with a total stranger. But when they're picking out some bok choy, go, what are you making with that? When I used bok choy last, it was too watery, and I think what are you cooking with that? Like, have a real conversation. Like, they may be like, hey, fucking weirdo, beat it, right? Or they may say, here's this amazing recipe. Let me show you where I got it here's on Instagram. Here it is, and like, you should check it out. And be like, man, like you're like, that's what normal human beings do. Don't stalk, but engage in conversation. So you got to go outside every day. Go out into the real world. Engage with humanity. And number 5 is produce something every single day. Produce something physical every single day. Even if that physical thing is just the notes that you made in your journal, produce something. I go out to my workshop, I call it the laboratory, and I go out there and I fiddle around with something every day. I'm restringing the dummy cord on a compass, or I'm going through my land nav muster supplies. I'm counting, inventorying chem lights and checking maps and looking at graphic training aids. Like, I'm doing something out there every single day. I'm hanging a picture, or I'm repairing a pipe, whatever it is. Do something physical every single day so that you can say that you've accomplished something. And because if you make that pact with yourself that I'm going to go do something physical today, then you, by default, you're going to get out of the house. You're going to have to make plans. You're going to have to be accountable. All those things that we just talked about. That's part of the process. So if you stick to that and you're consistent with that, you'll build character and grit. In order to be somebody worth assessing, be a worthy person, right? I always say we build good Green Berets from good soldiers. We build good soldiers from good citizens. We build good citizens from good people. So learn to be a good person. All the stuff that plays into that. It's all the stuff that you just described, all the stuff that I just described. You do that every day, you'll become somebody formidable before you know it. So that's my advice.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, a lot of overlap in those. I wonder why.
Yeah, shocking.
Not surprising at all.